Going on, guys? This your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video, and it looked like Caitlin Clark is in some serious hot water with WNBA players over this alleged not voting for this strike. Guys, for this one here, we got to go all the way up to Indy. Let's get it. Let's go. Now, we've been thoroughly tracking this whole situation with WNBA owners and the CBA negotiation. News has been coming out every single day for the last 72 hours depicting a strike and a lockout is coming near the future. Now, they had 48 hours still to come up with a decision. I believe today could be the day where we find out what ultimately is going to happen, but there was growing concerns about Caitlin Clark being the person that held out on the lockout. Now, we know Caitlin Clark is a big advocate for the WNBA. Sophie Cunningham just came on record that she's not doing the Project B. She has not done Unrivaled. She is a strong supporter of the WNBA as a whole. So we all know that. Now, I'm not making this video to point fingers at Caitlin Clark saying that she is the one that is possibly holding out, but it is looking spooky. Now, there's articles being reported on about Caitlin Clark possibly being the person has been holding out. Let's head on over to Google right now and pull up this article because this is a very interesting but touchy topic. Goes on to say, did Caitlin Clark vote in favor of the WNBA strike? Fans think they've figured it out. Now it says WNBA players move closer to edge as the labor talks drag on to resurface. They said the WNBA collective bargaining negotiation are no longer seemingly quietly in the background. They are now firmly in the open, with players making it clear that they are prepared to escalate if talks continue to stall. So from my understanding, if they strike, that is the ultimate FU to the owners, bruh. Now, on Thursday, the Women's Basketball Players Association announced that its executive committee has been authorized to call a strike when necessary. Goes on to say, according to Annie Constable, which Annie Constable did release a video. Let me go to her X account real quick because I want to show y'all this. So Annie Constable kind of broke all of this down in a video today. So this just came out today on Annie Constable X account. Let's listen to what she's saying.
In a historic vote, WNBA players overwhelmingly approved a strike authorization. 93% of players participated in the vote, and of those 93% of players, 98% voted yes. Now hold up. Before you work yourself up, this does not mean that a strike is happening right now, but it does mean that players have the right to call a strike if they feel that labor negotiations are breaking down. So why does this matter? Players and the league remain far apart on several key issues. Among them are revenue sharing, free agency rules, retirement benefits, and family planning support. Breanna Stewart said she would welcome help from NBA Commissioner Adam Silver at the bargaining table, which can be looked at as an indication that negotiations are not progressing in a constructive manner. The league, meanwhile, says negotiations are ongoing and points to proposed increases in salaries and revenue sharing to support their characterization that they're committed to getting a transformational deal done. What makes this moment even bigger is that the WNBA has never had a player strike in its nearly 3 decades long history. And as the WNBA continues to grow, more attention, more revenue, more star power, this vote stands to define the next era of women's sports as a whole.
That was Annie Constable earlier today on her X account speaking about this, and she captioned this with Thursday, WNBA players approve a strike authorizing that saw 93% participation and a 98% vote yes. So people is insinuating, going back to the article, that Caitlin Clark is the one who held out. Now, the article goes on to say that kind of turnout is rare and intentional. It shows unity, not urgency. Now, it goes on to say, with no names being released, guesswork filled the gaps, and one name surfaced repeatedly. Caitlin Clark, probably part of that 2% that voted no, one fan wrote. The theory stems from comments Clark made last week during USA Basketball. Now, this was Caitlin Clark last week during USA Basketball. So Caitlin Clark was at USA Basketball training, and she did one little media day, right? She did one little media day, and she spoke with reporters about the CBA negotiations. Now, many people now from that conversation, is insinuating that Caitlin Clark is the one that is holding out with the CBA negotiations. Now, just like I stated, we can't definitively say Caitlin Clark is the one that is holding out. Now, this is what Caitlin Clark said. Let's blow it up right
here. I think very high level, and I think the most important thing for myself, thinking about these CBA negotiations, like, this is the biggest moment the WNBA has ever seen, and it's not something that can be messed up. And we're going to fight for everything that we deserve, but at the same time, like, we need to play basketball. That's what our fans crave, and that's what all of you crave as well, is you want the product on the floor. And at the end of the day, that's how you make the money, that's how your market is, that's what the fans get excited about, that's what the fans want to show up for. So, it's business and it's a negotiation, and there has to be compromise on both sides, and, we're starting to get down to the wire of it, and it's become really important. And obviously I want to help in any way I can, and I've tried to educate myself the best I can. Obviously I can't speak to every single number, it's pretty complicated, but I think there are different things that we can find ways to say, no, like, we certainly deserve that and we're not going to compromise on that, and then other things that we can probably compromise on. But like I said, like, this is the biggest moment in the history of the WNBA, and I don't want that to be forgotten. Similar, it's important that we find a way to play this next season, and I think our fans, and even everybody that has played in this league that has come before us, deserve that as well.
I'm curious just on the...
It's really just talking to people to see about, like, the status of negotiations, different players.
Now, that was Caitlin Clark, man, speaking about this. Now, going back to the article, it says Caitlin Clark, probably part of that 2%. Now, it says what the vote actually changes and what it doesn't. The strike authorization comes after more than a year of negotiations, which we already know. Now, the current CBA was originally scheduled to expire on Halloween, October 31st, 2025. But both sides agreed to keep talking rather than letting it lapse. Now, first came a 30-day extension. Then the deadline was November the 30th. Then a 40-day extension moved it to January 9th. And that's where we're at right now. Now, just like I stated, many people is still pointing fingers at Caitlin Clark potentially being the person that is holding everything up. I want to know your thoughts down in the comment section right now. Do y'all think it's Caitlin, or do y'all think people is framing Caitlin, saying that she is the one? Keep them bells on. I will be back with another one. And until next time, shake the haters off. I'm out of here. Peace out.